Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. A few weeks ago, I published a video in which we analyzed how much could employees like me save by fully working remotely versus going to the office. But today, I would like to change a bit and look at it from a company's perspective. Because although at first sight it might seem like allowing employees to work fully remotely could also save the company a lot of money, I also think that there are many different aspects that are often overlooked that could have a potential negative impact in the company. But with that said, and after I remind you that the best thing you can do, if you enjoy the content and you would also like other people to be exposed to videos like this one, is to give this video a like, because then the algorithm of YouTube hopefully recommends it to more people and more people can learn and explore new things that maybe they had not thought of. So thank you very much, and let's go now back to the video. Firstly, we will start with all the benefits that companies get from having employees working fully remotely. And some of them might be very obvious, but maybe we see some that you had not thought of. On it, firstly and very obviously, we have that if you have less employees working physically in an office, you also can rent a cheaper space and save a lot of money by doing so. Not only on the rent itself, but also on utilities, on-site equipment, food, maybe additional benefits that you might give, or also cleaning services. Because if there is less people in the office, you certainly need less of all of these things. And I can certainly see this, for instance, in my company. We have not changed offices, but the consumption of all the services and things within the office has certainly reduced, whether it's talking about toilet paper, which might seem super stupid, also hand soap, for instance, because there are less people using it, also the food that they give, the amount of coffees that are made every day, and these kind of things. All of what we have mentioned now has been regarding the physical space and the fact that if there are less employees in the office, you can of course reduce this space and save money. But the benefits go further than that, because when you have so many employees working remotely, your company also becomes more environmentally friendly. You have less pollution generated by the cars of the employees going to your office, and also you have less resources used on site on your office. Directly, it might not seem like the company is benefiting, economically speaking, from being more environmentally friendly. But actually it does, because then they can use this information. For instance, let's say that they reduce the office and they can just say, oh, we have reduced in 50% the use of water versus the previous year. Maybe it is just because they reduce the office, they have less people in the office. But again, it is a true statement and they can use this to market themselves. And I can tell you that at the moment there are a lot of people who make a lot of purchase decisions based on how sustainable a company is or says it is. Finally, on the main benefits that the company has, we find that it is able to attract more talent because it does not limit the geographic scope of the place of work to where its office is located, but to a whole country, for instance. And with this, it is true, but the company also needs to be very careful, because you cannot just have one person working remotely and then this person decides, oh, okay, 1 month I work in Germany, 2 months in Spain, 6 months in Bali. I mean, technically you could do that, but then the company needs to be very careful that that person is paying and legally able to work in these respective countries, paying taxes as it should. And with this point, we already begin the part of downsides of having employees working fully remotely. Which is first, that if you have employees working remotely, you need to set very clear rules on what is allowed or not. Because it is very tempting as an employee working, for instance, for a US company, theoretically based in the US, to say, oh, now I'm going to work from Thailand. The weather is super nice, the cost of living is extremely low, and he or she can even take the chance to go and explore the surroundings. Seems great, doesn't it? The problems here are first, that the employee should communicate to the company that he or she is working from Thailand, because if not, the company probably doesn't know. And secondly, once the company knows, it needs to make sure that that employee is paying taxes in that country, and also that he or she is correctly medically insured. It might seem maybe like nothing, but when you have a company maybe of 30 employees, this can be easier to control, right? But when you have a company with 1,000 employees, if everyone just starts doing whatever they want, it can become pretty chaotic. And not just that, but they can also put the organization in a legally pretty complicated situation. This is not the only challenge of having employees fully working remotely, because it also involves that from an IT side, all the systems need to be prepared for this to happen. I am not an IT guy, but some problems that arise at the beginning of the lockdowns, at least in our company, was that suddenly people, of course, started working remotely, but the systems that we had in place were not prepared to have so many people at once, and we had several technical issues. And if you have technical issues like this one, even if you are just like, 30 minutes offline, nobody can work, besides the money that you are losing because these employees are still getting paid for it, you can even be affected negatively when it comes to your end customers. On IT topics, we also need to add that if you have employees working remotely, you also need to send the IT equipment per post or however you want to send it. But what happens if one day one of your employees working remotely has some technical issues or just simply the computer they use breaks down? Then that employee who might be 1,000, 2,000 kilometers away from the headquarters of the office probably cannot work for a couple of days until it gets sent a new laptop. And technical things like this one happen, and when they happen, it is of course much better and much more practical for the company if the employee is located close to the office. Finally, the last challenge that I would like to discuss is concerning the turnover rate as well as the attachment of employees to a company and also the creation of teams. It is clear that nowadays we have many different tools to interact online, whether it is email, Slack, for instance, Zoom, or many other programs out there, but in my personal opinion, nothing replaces face-to-face interactions. And I'm not talking now about the quality of work, because I think that this can be equally good whether you are working remotely or in the office, of course depending on the job. But my main concern is mostly on building teams and a connection with the company. Because if there are no relationships, no connections, then the employee is only doing its job because it gets paid for it. There is no additional plus. And I know that we all just work for money, but I just feel like the turnover rate is likely to increase. Especially because employees will have no attachment to your company. And if they receive a better offer from a different company, they are very likely to switch jobs. On the other hand, I feel like when there are friendships within the company or very good relationships, these decisions are generally speaking harder to make. And if the turnover rate then increases, what initially seemed like a great cost-saving strategy because you are saving more money on having less space and stuff like that, then it can become more costly because you will have much higher costs of hiring more talent. And it is no doubt that in the recent years, all companies in the world are facing increasing challenges when it comes to talent retention as people change jobs very often. But with this last point, I have already covered all the benefits and downsides that I personally see of having employees working fully remotely. And the personal takeaway that I get out of this is that yes, initially having employees working remotely seems like a great cost-saving strategy and very attractive. But as exposed, there are many other aspects as well to be assessed. In my personal opinion, what I would do would be to offer the possibility to be working fully remotely, but also have a small office space with desks that could perhaps be booked with an informatic system, and this way employees could have the chance to go to a physical space and gather together and perhaps one day every, 2 weeks, 1 month, get together and really build a team and relationships. Again though, these are just my thoughts and I'm of course no guru, so I don't know what the best solution on that is. The only thing I know is that we are all different and that there is no real universal approach that would satisfy everyone. In any case, I am curious to know what you think on the topic. If you were a manager of a company, what would your approach be on this? What would you do? Please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the topic. If you enjoyed the video, then please make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed, and as always, see you next time.